In a wolf pack in Yellowstone, there is a 12-year-old female. She is ancient by wolf standards. Most wolves never see their 8th year. She has survived winters that killed younger wolves. She has led hunts that fed the pack when there was nothing else to eat. She has made decisions, route decisions, prey decisions, when to fight and when to flee decisions, that determined whether her pack lived or died. She is too old to hunt now. Her teeth are worn. Her speed is gone. By every individual measure, she is a burden on the pack, a mouth that eats but cannot provide. And yet, when she approaches a kill, the younger wolves step aside. When she lies down in the center of the den site, the pups curl around her. When she vocalizes, even softly, the pack orients toward her. The younger wolves do not challenge her. They do not push her from food. They do not treat her the way they treat a weaker pack member who has fallen in the hierarchy. They treat her differently. And the question is, why? Is this respect in the way humans mean it? Deference to age, to experience? To something earned across years of surviving? Or are we watching something else? Instinct, hierarchy, the cold calculus of evolutionary advantage, and calling it something warm because we want it to be warm? Here's the problem with asking whether animals respect their elders. Respect is not a simple behavior. It is a cognitive judgment. It requires recognizing that another individual possesses something, knowledge, experience, status, that you do not. It requires valuing that possession, and it requires adjusting your own behavior in response. That is not trivial. A dominance hierarchy does not require respect. It requires fear or calculation. An animal defers to a stronger animal because challenging would cost too much. That is not respect. That is math. For respect to exist, the deference has to be offered when it doesn't have to be, when the elder is weaker, when there is no threat, when the younger animal could easily take what it wants and chooses not to. So the question narrows. Do animals ever defer to elders who can no longer enforce their status? Do they treat older individuals differently, not because they have to, but because of something the elder represents? The answer, across multiple species and decades of research, is yes. But it looks different in every species that does it. Let's start with the clearest case. In African elephant herds, leadership falls to the oldest female, the matriarch. She's usually in her 50s or 60s. She leads the herd to water during droughts. She remembers routes she hasn't traveled in decades. She distinguishes between friend and stranger by vocalization alone. In 2007, researchers at the University of Sussex demonstrated that elephant herds led by older matriarchs showed significantly better threat assessment than herds led by younger females. When researchers played lion calls, the older matriarchs accurately identified the threat level and responded appropriately. Younger matriarchs overreacted or underreacted. The difference was experience, decades of stored knowledge. The herd doesn't just benefit from the matriarch, the herd knows it benefits. When she vocalizes, they respond faster. When she moves, they follow. When she dies, the herd shows behavioral signs consistent with what we would call grief in any other context. This is not fear. The matriarch is often physically diminished, slower, weaker, past the age where she could enforce her will physically. Why? Because she knows things they don't, and they have some mechanism for recognizing that. In 2015, researchers published a study of killer whale populations in the Pacific Northwest that changed how biologists think about old age. Orcas are one of only a handful of species, including humans, where females live decades past their reproductive years. Most animals reproduce until they die. Orca females stop reproducing in their 40s, but can live into their 90s. The question was, why? Evolution does not keep organisms alive past reproductive utility without a reason. The answer, according to the data, was that old females act as repositories of ecological knowledge. During salmon shortages, post-reproductive females led their pods to hunting grounds they had learned decades earlier, knowledge no younger whale possessed. Pods led by older females survived scarcity at significantly higher rates than pods without them. The researchers called this the grandmother hypothesis. Old females were not just surviving, they were actively increasing the survival odds of their entire pod, not through direct care, but through knowledge transfer. When those grandmothers died, the pod's survival rate dropped measurably in the following years. The younger whales did not defer to the grandmother because she was stronger. They deferred because she knew where the food was, and they had some mechanism for recognizing that her knowledge was more reliable than their own. Back to the Yellowstone wolf. Researchers at the Yellowstone Wolf Project have documented that older wolves, even those past hunting age, receive food from younger pack members. They are allowed to eat first at kills, even when they contributed nothing to the hunt. They are groomed more. They are given space. But here's where the honest scientific position has to separate from the comfortable human narrative. Wolves defer to experience because experience keeps the pack alive. The calculus is cold. The elder knows where prey migrates, when to move den sites, how to read weather patterns. The pack that ignores its elders is a pack that makes worse decisions. Over evolutionary time, packs that deferred to elder knowledge survived more often. Is that respect? It depends on your definition. If respect means honoring someone because of what they've earned, then yes. The elder earned her status through decades of demonstrated competence. The pack honors that competence even after she can no longer enforce her status. If respect means a purely altruistic moral judgment, a value offered freely without expectation of return, then no. The pack's deference serves the pack. The elder's knowledge is a resource. The deference is adaptive. But here's the thing. Human respect works the same way. We defer to elders for the same mix of reasons. Earned wisdom, demonstrated experience, the recognition that someone who has survived longer than you knows something you don't. That deference is adaptive. It helps groups survive. It is not purely altruistic. It is not detached from evolutionary calculus. The difference between human respect and animal deference may not be a difference in kind. It may be a difference in the complexity of the story we tell about it. If you're still here, you're the kind of person who wants to understand animals, not just watch them. And that's exactly what this channel is for. If you haven't subscribed yet, now's the moment. We release deep dive videos like this every week on animal consciousness, hidden senses, and the questions most people never think to ask. Hit subscribe. You'll know the next one is out the moment it drops. There is a behavior that elephants exhibit that has never been fully explained. When elephants encounter the bones of another elephant, even an elephant they never knew, they stop. They touch the bones with their trunks. They turn the skull over gently. They stand in silence for long periods. When the bones belong to a matriarch, an elder who led the herd, the response is more intense. The herd stays longer. They touch the bones more. They vocalize in frequencies that carry for miles. Researchers have not been able to explain this fully. It is not food-related. It is not threat assessment. It is not practical in any measurable sense, but there is one interpretation that keeps surfacing in the literature, usually phrased carefully, usually hedged with a necessary scientific caution. Elephants remember their elders. They recognize their bones. They treat their remains with a gentleness that looks, to any honest observer, remarkably like reverence. Not respect for what the elder can still do. Respect for what the elder did. Respect for the life itself. The Yellowstone wolf is still there, 12 years old, gray muzzle, slow now. The younger wolves still step aside when she approaches. She will not survive another hard winter. The pack will continue without her. The knowledge she carries, the roots, the prey patterns, the den sites learned across a decade of seasons will be lost. But for now, she lies in the center of the den. Pups curl around her. The pack orients toward her. And if you were watching this from a distance, if you had no words for what you were seeing, no concept of respect or reverence or earned deference, you would still understand what was happening. The pack values something in her that they do not have, and they act accordingly. That's not a metaphor. That's not projection. That's observation. Animals defer to their elders. Not always. Not universally. But in enough species, in enough contexts, that the pattern demands an explanation. And the explanation, stripped of sentiment but still remarkable, is this. Respect is older than we are. It did not begin with us. It did not begin with language or culture or moral philosophy. It began in the practical, survival-level recognition that someone who has lived longer than you knows something you don't. And that recognition, across millions of years of evolution, produced behaviors that look to anyone watching carefully exactly like the thing we call respect. The word is ours. The behavior is ancient.